Ever wondered how Apple transformed from a garage computer company into the tech industry's age-defining innovator? How did Nike come to dominate the sportswear market? Or how Martin Luther King became the very symbol of civil rights? What if I told you there's a secret, a hidden universal key that propels these remarkable successes, that transcends the boundaries of commerce or politics, and equally applies to any product or idea presented to the public? Think of the most amazing marketing success stories you've ever heard. Think of any product, any politician, any leader, or idea that has achieved the most remarkable recognition by their respective audiences. It turns out there is one simple but fundamental principle all of them followed, with or without recognizing it. One genius concept. If implemented correctly, it guarantees the fascination and relentless commitment by consumers, whether they are buyers of a product or service or voters voicing their choice at a ballot box. Get ready to embark on a journey of marketing and leadership wisdom, guided by Simon Sinek, a renowned leadership expert, motivational speaker, and one of the brightest minds of our time. He unveiled the mystery behind these triumphs in his remarkable bestseller, Start With Why, and we are about to dive into this masterpiece. Sinek's discovery will profoundly change your view of how the world works and the way in which you operate in it. To explain his groundbreaking discovery, Simon Sinek introduces the concept of the golden circle, a simple diagram that serves as a blueprint for understanding the essence of why great leaders and organizations can inspire people, while others fall short. The golden circle is comprised of 3 concentric circles: why, how, and what, and serves as a representation of how we perceive and communicate concepts. The outermost layer is the what, which describes the tangible products, services, or plans a leader or a company offers. The second layer is the how, which represents the specific actions, methods, or principles that a leader or an organization employs to deliver what they deliver. At the core of the golden circle is the why, representing the fundamental purpose, the very cause or belief that inspires and drives a leader or a company. It's the reason far beyond just profit-making. It's the deep motivation that fuels passion and commitment. It's about the fundamental reason a company or a leader does what they do. It's the heart of the matter, answering questions like why a product was created, why a company is in business, why a leader offers himself or herself as a leader. Sinek asserts that while all organizations can articulate what they produce, fewer can effectively communicate how they do it, and only a very select few truly understand and can articulate why they do what they do. Additionally, Sinek highlights that from a human perception standpoint, the what is the most easily understood, the how poses a bit more complexity, and the why remains the most enigmatic. Consequently, the way people think, act, and communicate follows a pattern from outer circles to inner ones, from the most comprehensible to the most enigmatic. This intuitively mirrors how most companies and leaders typically present their products and promises, from what to why. In fact, many don't venture as deep as the why. Most companies and leaders advertise what they offer. Some delve into how their products are made as an additional selling point, while the why is mostly ignored. Sinek discovered that this intuitive order of thinking and selling from what to why is exactly the reason why most of companies and leaders never become great. He discerned that what sets great leaders and companies apart is their inclination to think and act in a completely opposite way. Not from what to why like everybody else, but from why to what. The first thing they understand and communicate is why they do what they do. They are inspired and driven by the core purpose. For them, the how and the what are mere byproducts of their why. These are companies and leaders who hold a core conviction about why they exist and do what they do. Consequently, their communication strategy reflects this conviction. They don't merely sell the what, they sell the why. Turns out, it's not the what and the how that inspire consumers. It's the why that is the fundamental driver that motivates action. And once the consumer is sold on the why, acceptance of the how and what follows almost automatically. To understand Sinek's discovery most vividly, We should look at the famous Apple ad campaigns from the era when Apple had just entered the competition in the computer market, dominated by giant corporations such as IBM, Dell, and others. At the time, Apple was a much smaller company with a much worse market position and lagging significantly in resources. Watch carefully the famous Apple advertisement from 1997, as Apple was about to launch its new Macintosh G3 computer. This ad is the most striking demonstration of what it means to start with why.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Notice that there is not a single mention of a word computer, let alone any product characteristics. This is the genius of selling the why instead of the what. Apple, in complete opposition to other computer companies and conventional wisdom, initiated its first campaigns by entirely disregarding the actual product they manufactured. Instead, they focused on advertising what drove and inspired them, which was the commitment to thinking differently, being rebels, and challenging the status quo. Apple deliberately overlooked the what and exclusively emphasized the why. Their approach was groundbreaking. As a contrast, here is the ad by Dell Computers of the same year. Let's see if you can spot the difference.
Precision engineering. Performance that nails you to your seat. But enough about the high-performance computers Dell built for Ford. What can we build yours to do? Call now and for just $24.99 we'll build you this Dell Dimension XPS with a 233 MHz Intel Pentium processor with MMX technology, 32 megs of SD RAM, a 3.2 gig hard drive with Microsoft Office Small Business Edition, a large screen monitor, 24x variable CD-ROM, even a Matrox Millennium video card, and 24-hour tech support. The Dell Dimension XPS with a 233 MHz Intel Pentium processor, pure performance for just $24.99. Dell, what can we build yours to do?
The difference is glaring. Unlike Apple, Dell only communicates the what. In fact, it bombards the audience with information about the product features. Its whole communication strategy is about exciting people with what it makes. And while at the moment Dell's technology was no less than Apple's, you don't need to be a business historian to know what these two companies achieved in following years and decades. This is the power of why. As Simon Sinek discovered, people don't buy what you make, they buy why you make it. Starting from why is a powerful way of winning audiences in every sphere, including politics. It is the very reason why Martin Luther King became the civil rights icon. Other leaders were no less orators and had been more severely affected by the injustice and persecution. But they carried a message of what needed to change and how it should have been done. Only Dr. King had a dream. His mantra was what he believed, not what his plan was. Only he came across as illuminated by his why, inspired by his inner call which shined brightest. And that's why he was the one who people wanted to follow. People who believed what he believed took his cause and made it their own. Because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do serves as mere proof of what you believe. It's those who start with why, who inspire, enthuse, and motivate others to act and follow. The why is the decisive element that drives people. In fact, history has proven time and again that the what and the how are virtually irrelevant. Winston Churchill is probably the most famous example among countless others. Sinek's what-to-why dichotomy explains perfectly well both his rise to power as well as his epic fall. Before the start of the Second World War, Winston Churchill was an absolute political fiasco. His career was hopelessly finished, and his political what and how were tarnished, riddled with failures. His only ammo was that he was the only one who continuously warned the British people about the inevitability of war with Hitler's Germany. He was the only politician who believed that the war was coming and Britain needed to do its utmost to prepare for it, while other politicians acted to calm the public down by failed attempts to secure peace as they felt that talking peace was what people wanted to hear. But as the war broke out, the British people realized that only Churchill had the right priorities and conviction.
We shall never surrender.
He was the only one who had the clarity of thought about the harsh reality the nation found itself in. Churchill's why was at the right place, and the British people identified with his cause. Once the war had come, they all believed in what Churchill believed, and from that moment his failed what and how had no relevance anymore. He was the nation's choice to lead in the darkest hour. It was the why that lifted Churchill to power, and ironically, it was the why that brought him down. After achieving the historic victory, Churchill had become a true national hero. He had successfully led the country through the toughest times to a magnificent victory. His political what and how were picture perfect. A hero, a victor, a national savior. However, to the astonishment of many, right after the war in 1945, his party suffered a landslide defeat, and Winston Churchill, the national hero, was ousted from power. Thousands of articles and books have been written by historians to explain what caused his historic political defeat right after the historic victory in war, and how could the British people be so ungrateful. But Sinek's what-to-why dichotomy puts everything in perfect order. As the war was over, Churchill had lost the why in the eyes of the British people. He was a perfect wartime leader, but in peace, people wanted something different. Churchill was unmatched in leading the fight. His brutal honesty was what the nation needed to survive.
I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat.
But as the war was over, people wanted to rebuild their lives, and Churchill just did not match with that purpose. Look at the 2 election posters from that campaign. Churchill's is all about himself, calling to help him finish the job, which meant defeating Japan, which was still fighting, while the rival campaign was about promising prosperity, something that had become so missed during the horrible years of war. Churchill was all about his magnificent what and how, but he had lost the why connection with the electorate, and he lost in a landslide. Lost because it's not what you do that people care about, it's why you do it that matters. So finally, now that you know the power of why, we leave you with 6 guiding principles inspired by Simon Sinek's masterpiece. 1. Start with why. Always begin by understanding your core purpose or belief. 2. Embrace the golden circle. Implement the why, how, what approach in both personal and professional life. 3. Foster innovation and adoption. Appeal to innovators and early adopters by focusing on the why to drive change and adoption. 4. Build trust through authenticity. Consistency in adhering to your why builds trust and loyalty among stakeholders. 5. Lead with inspiration. As a leader, inspire action by communicating and embodying your why. 6. Cultivate the right environment. Create a culture that supports and reflects your core why to maximize impact and effectiveness.
Our goal at Mankind's Greats is to enrich learning and inspire a love for reading. Please note that this content is created for educational purposes, under fair use guidelines, intended to complement, not replace, the original works of the mankind's greatest minds we all cherish. We strongly encourage our viewers to explore the full books, as nothing replaces the joy and excitement of reading these age-defining gems of wisdom. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate such content, please like and subscribe for more.